Hello, everyone. As in the past, thank you for all listening and coming and everything else you come here for, and I really appreciate. Today, I'm going to continue the topic of philosophy, and this time the subject is why studying philosophy. All right, why studying philosophy? All right, let me just give you some background information first. And we are human beings living today and not dead yet, correct? And also, historically, we live in a certain time or age, correct? And physically, we live in a time and a space related environment. And well, I call it macro world, MARCRO, macro world. All right. Okay. In this world we are living, uh, what is that? And a lot of people, of course, including in China, they call it saints, studied it. And like Confucius, uh, he says, food and sex is a human being. All right, okay. 食色性也. All right, okay, no problem. But in the Western country, the Saint Aristotle definitely has a different view. He says, man desires to know. Translated from Greek, of course. And so you see the difference here. Why is that? That's my point. All right. Let me say this. The Chinese or the Oriental sort of, including India, you know that in the East, the two major countries or cultures, one is Indians, the other is China's culture. All right. But anyway, both of them thinking the world is basically turned around and around, right? Nothing new, always like that. Uh, you see, China has many destinies, many emperors. Uh, year year in year out, it's not much change. The society will remain basically the same from for 2 or 3 thousand years ago. So no science and some technology, but it's just for the convenience. That's it. And also the Chinese mostly don't regard that so-called skills a lot or technologies as something major. Most people believe to be official or to have the glory to be close or even to be the emperor, it's better than just playing or just working on technology. They call it 奇技淫巧. All right, that is the case. So, for the Orientals, the world is turned over and over all the time. But in the Western part, people don't believe that way. People believe the history is moving forward, and from not very good to better, better, and better. So that's a different view. All right, let's look at the reality. Look at the world changes since, let's say, last 500 years. All right, you probably, if you are normal, if you see the reality, you will think that the world does make changes, it does progress and make advances in a lot of areas, right? And we don't have internet, we don't have cars, we don't have airplanes, right? and in the past. But now we have everything, right? That's basically the changes we can see. So the world is changing. Well, think about this. If you say something is changing, that means it moves in either in terms of time and space. That two dimensions, right? And so in this case, you will notice whatever or you experience or you lived by will be limited because of the conditions, right? And this is still moving forward. You only experienced whatever happened at this point, definite space or location. And you probably are sure that in another time, for future, it will be different or better, right? And that's probably the case. So, so in terms of the whatever we our living conditions, you can say clothing, food, housing, or transportation, 衣食住行, right? And that kind of thing will change, will be better. So you probably can safely predict in another, let's say, 500 years or even millennium years, 1,000, and that life will be much more different and much more convenient or better, if you will. In terms of the clothing, food, housing, or transportation, right? CFHT. And we can make an acronym for it. So, I believe one day to have a basic food, to clothe yourself, to have a basic housing condition, and the basic needs to travel, to transport is human rights, right? And now in the western part, you have the political right to vote, to select your government, to choose your favorite candidate to run the government. But unfortunately for the Orientals, for the Chinese, they still don't have it. And neither the Koreans, the North Korean people. No, they still don't have it. But as society moves forward, I believe one day they will. That's definitely a truth because only very few countries in this world still don't have that basic human rights, right? That's free speech, free of fear the government, free from the fear of taking out your right to speak, that sort of thing. So, expanding this concept of human rights forward, as we still, or we will definitely, live in time and space, you are sure to have the basic rights for the CFHT, that's for sure in future. All right? Okay, so this is the part I want to stress. All right, okay, now we come to this part. I call it, what is the definition of human being? All right. To my understanding, human beings comes first as animals. When you were born, you are a baby. You are probably not as good as even a wolf or tiger or even a rabbit because let's say a deer or a horse because they can stand up and run in 5 minutes basically. How about a baby? A baby has to be fed and taken care of at least more than 2 years, right? Because it can survive. So In this part, human beings are poorer than animals in terms of survival skills. All right, but so this is the point. When you are born, you are not a human being. Although you are considered will be a human being, you don't have rights to vote, right? But you can hardly survive. You depend on the food, water, housing of other people to provide you with, right? You depend on your parents or other neighbors or whatever, whoever taking care of you. That is the case. All right. Okay. When can you be a human being? When you grow up, you are mature and you can make a living for yourself like an animal, right? Like a mature lion or a dog can uh, get other things, get other animals to eat, to feed themselves. Or if you uh, vegetation, you can eat, have grass or search for other resources, right? Okay, so basically you can survive in this environment. That's the point. All right, after this part, when you become mature, you can feed yourself. In terms of human's life, I'll say you become useful. You choose a profession, you learn some skills, you are contributing to the society, so society will pay you back. Uh, in reality, you have a boss and who will pay your wages or salary, or you have work or make a company for yourself, like Ma Yun, right? And you make money for yourself. But whatever you do, you are basically can survive by working for some materials, and that is will make you survive, physically survive, right? Okay, so you satisfy your bodily needs for food, and of course, you can, if you have enough food, and the girls will come to you, or you may chase some other girls. They will fall in love with you, and you can generate, right? You can have children. Okay, that is another part. All right, when you're satisfied in terms of you as a human being yourself, you can see here food and the sex. There's two needs. As Confucius pointed out, you satisfy it already. But remember this animals also do the same thing. They also have the two needs. They can satisfy it when they are mature enough. They can do that. All right. So in that sense, you are just on par with the level, with the animal level. You are not more than that. You don't have anything else or extra to add to the human nature, right? And whatever you need, the animal does it too, right? Okay, so this is the part. So you may question what is human life then? All right, that is an important thing if you start to think about the question. Actually, the ancient Greeks thought about this a long time ago, 25,000 years ago to be exact. Okay, so they asked themselves the four basic questions. Who am I? And what is the world? How do we survive in this world? Things like that, right? Okay. I would say like this. In terms of being useful is a part of your life. In other words, you select profession, you make contribution, or you try to earn your food. That's called a profession or called usefulness. You want to be useful because in this stage, you still have to satisfy the basic needs for you to grow up, right? To physically needs. But in terms of the nature of being a human, you have to consider the spiritual part. not only the animal part. Or you can say not only the physical needs. The physical needs is outer needs. That is, you self want to exchange material with outside world. We exchange matters with your environment, your surroundings, no matter the food, entertainment, or the other sex. Whatever you need is for exchange, right? You give part of it to the other give part of it to you. That's called exchange. This change, you have to notice, is called material change, right? Everything is as real as you can sense it. Use your 5 organs, you can sense it. That's for sure. The point here I want to make is you also have one more need that is purely related. The definition of being a human, that is spiritual needs. You have a spiritual needs. What is spiritual needs here? You want to know things according to Aristotle, or you may even expand this part more. You want to enjoy arts, enjoy music, enjoy religion, enjoy philosophy studies, a lot of other things. That's called seeking the truth or spiritual needs. You may wonder the basic questions I mentioned earlier, the Greek asked before. So, when you start to think about this, I'll say you become a human, real human. You will satisfy the needs for being a human. That is the point. The spiritual needs here, you want to give to it, to yourself. Okay, so this part, I'll say in your life, should be at some stage after you finished the useful part, finished being the useful, productive part of your life. I don't care if you are 30s or 40s or 50s, 60s, doesn't matter. You will come to this stage one day or earlier, sooner or later. That is the need to be a human. So, from then on, your life will be non-useful. You pursue the spiritual needs. That is non-useful materially. Not related to matter. Not related to anything tangible. All right? That's called a spiritual life. You study the truth, the arts, the beauty, the kindness, the love, that sort of a thing, That is called a spiritual needs. You should come to this part. So, in other words, when you come to the non-use part of your life, to satisfy your spiritual needs, you lift yourself above the physical being of you in the past. As the song goes, right? It's you sort of using the spiritual needs to lift you, to raise you up higher than you used to be. That kind of thing, if you can do, is called to open your mind wider than you were previously in a certain profession. Let's say you were a doctor before, or you were a computer technician before, or you are even a boss, right? For some companies, you want to be useful to yourself, the society, your family, of course. But now you really come to the stage of above that period. You want to be non-use related pursuit, that is spiritual needs. So that is very important Only because seeking truth, that will raise you to the level of being a human. Otherwise, you cannot be considered human. You still remain on the level of animals because you basically pursue whole of your life for material needs or trying to be useful all the time like the animals do, right? For a pig, no matter how much food it gathers, it's still a pig, right? No difference. Or for other animals, it's the same thing. So it's the same thing for human. For we know the most people, no matter how much money you make, it's a necessary condition. You have to think about this for survival, for physically survival, to support your body. Like the organs you have, your heart, your kidney, your pancreas, your gallbladder. It can be reduced, or you can be get rid of. No problem. You can still survive. This is just a thing, a physical thing. You whatever you have is no different from any other people have, right? Now the science has advanced to this state, or technology has come. You can replace even your heart. You change your heart to give a new definition of changing your heart, right? So you are not defined by physical being, physical things. You are defined by your spiritual pursuit. You have to realize that before you can call yourself or other people, in other people's eyes, you are a human being, right? If you don't have this, you are just non-human being. You will still remain as an animal all the time. I have to let you know this. But in my study, I may call you this. If you only pursue the quantity part, not the quality part, you remain as an animal all the time. Only when you separate the quality from the quantity, you can lift yourself up to the level of spiritual needs. So you satisfy yourself, not only food, not only sex, like animals do, but spiritually too. All right? From this level, if you want to go higher, you have the capability of doing that. Do you know that? Because that's your mind, the absolute, I call it. You have to think about the relative. Everything, even including the quality, is a part of the relative. Relative includes two parts. One is qualitative things, the other, like truth, like beauty, like spiritual things. Because it's something, it's called quality. Quality with a quantity, that is a temporal spatial area that is in the macro world. MACRO, macro world, I call it. So you see the difference? If you work, let's say, in any relative terms, I want to be more productive, I want to make more money, I want this girl more beautiful than this, what I know, and that's called relative. That's called quantitative change. It's always confusing, the two words sometimes. Because it's so similar to the Chinese, of course, to the Oriental, I mean, to your native language, sort of. So, when you realize this, we have quantity, we have a quality. We can raise ourselves or lift ourselves above the quality and the quantity, of which we term it relative. So when you come to the level of above the relative, you become absolute pursuer. You are really seeking the truth behind quality. All right? Now you come to basically like most people say God or something. You come to this level of spiritual needs. That's very important. That's everything else. That's everything you can get. That's highest. That even not something that is not a quality anymore. All right? So I want you to know this. And if you feel useful, I'm sure you have a better and more successful, more satisfactory life you have. And hopefully you can see my point here. All right? Okay. Thank you for everything. And I'll stop here. And I'm glad to hear your comments if you can. Okay. Thank you. See you next time.